This is the original podcast edition of The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton, now part of the complete Pirates of Wefravain series. The books are available as audiobooks, ebooks, and paperbacks. This podcast originally aired from 2010 to 2014. Stick around after the story for commentary from me, the author, more than a decade later. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers, a novel of pirates and Panamindorah. Written and narrated by Abigail Hilton. Book 2, Flames. Warning: this novel was intended for people who shop in the grown-up section of the bookstore. It is not intended for children or young teens. If you need to ask whether you will be offended, you probably will. Episode 9.
Hi, I'm Phenopath from the Dribblecast, a podcast featuring short stories written and read by listeners of the Dribblecast. Previously on the Cowry Catchers podcast, Gerard realises that Silvio is not behaving normally or thinking clearly. He calls off the search for Gawain, wraps Silvio in his coat, and carries him back to the docks. They have an intense conversation, but Silvio still refuses to tell Gerard what happened in the dungeons. Gerard asks Silvio if he wants to go for a ride with Gerard and Fess in the meerkat. Gerard is thinking about fleeing. They are interrupted by Alcer with the news that one of the temple sacrifices, a Selkie, has been stolen. Silvio reverts to dutiful temple servant and goes to investigate. They find a furious Morchella breathing curses at Gawain. Gerard realises that Gawain stole his key, which is how he got into the sacrificial cages. Morchella insinuates that she is thinking about making Gerard take the Selkie's place. She takes him back to the temple, where he attempts to tell her that he will not have sex with her again. Morchella threatens Thessalin and Silvio, leaving Gerard feeling frightened, helpless, and willing to do whatever she wants.
Chapter 21. Monument.
The High Priestess of Wefravain is a thoroughly indoctrinated Grishnard who protects the interests of her cult, namely via the temple's Sea Watch and police. She is, I suspect, culled from the Order of Lesser Priestesses, and probably fed to her own wyverns when she shows the first signs of anything other than youthful bloom. She's always a beautiful female with dark hair and green eyes. Her few public appearances give the illusion of immortality, but in truth the role must change every 10 or 15 years. Gawain, the truth about wyverns.
Gerard got back to the Fang just as the sun peeked over the rim of the ocean. He'd found Alcer asleep on the temple steps, and that was good, because he was so tired that he could hardly see straight. As they landed on the deck of the Fang, Gerard was surprised to see Thessalin and Silvio standing at the railing facing east, talking and watching the sunrise. Silvio looked up as Alcer flew over, but he didn't turn around as Gerard came up beside them and leaned on the railing. No one said anything for a moment, and then Thessalin put an arm around Gerard. He could have cried.
Don't be kind to me. I don't deserve it.
Silvio had retouched his coal and changed his clothes, but he still looked like he'd been awake all night.
Why didn't you go to bed? At least one of us should have.
Silvio gave a thin smile.
Couldn't sleep.
Oh.
Gerard buried his face in his hands.
How did I become responsible for everyone?
Alcer nudged him from behind.
Gerard, can I go to sleep now? Do you need me for anything else?
Gerard shook his head. Thessalin pulled on his arm.
Come, love. I have a song for you.
Better administer it with a sleeping draft.
Blow to the head,
suggested Gerard. Silvio gave a half-hysterical giggle.
Cyanide always works for me.
Thessalin reached out with a remarkable display of intuitive agility and gave Silvio's tail a jerk.
To bed, both of you. Now.
Silvio invited Thessalin and Gerard to eat with him a little after noon. They sat alone in the officer's dining cabin, drinking strong tea and not saying much. At last, Silvio said,
"We did learn a few things from those prisoners."
Oh?
Gerard glanced at him.
Should I leave?
Asked Thessalin.
"Why? Gerard tells you everything anyway. Might as well spare one repetition."
Well, you've certainly got your claws back.
Gerard had never heard Silvio use that tone to Thessalin. She looked startled and momentarily uncertain. Silvio screwed his eyes shut and massaged his temples. Then he reached out and patted her hand. Gerard tried unsuccessfully to remember a single instance when he'd seen Silvio initiate physical contact with anyone, for anything other than utilitarian reasons.
Poor Thess. I'm tired and hungover, and I'm annoyed with myself for acting like an idiot yesterday. You certainly do not deserve to be subjected to me this morning. Gerard, on the other hand, is stuck with me.
Thessalin smiled.
I'll stay if you don't mind.
Silvio shrugged.
Whatever the lady says, you're welcome to reach over here and give my tail a jerk if I act too much like myself.
Before she could respond, he continued,
Seems Gawain is working to unite the resistance. That's his goal. He's trying to make them work together. In addition, he's interested in getting more Grishnards involved. I think there was more to it, but Morchella's interrogator, Maven, had a way of, breaking things before he was finished with them.
Thessalin wore a pained expression, and Gerard reached over to cover her ears. Silvio shook his head.
I'm not going to describe it. I'm just trying to tell you why we ended up with bits and pieces of information. Every one of those fawns thought Skytown exists and that it's somewhere on Masia Minor, but either they didn't know anything else, or Maven pushed them too quickly beyond the point of no return.
Are we going to that rendezvous?
Asked Gerard. He expected Silvio to say yes at once, but Silvio hesitated.
Well, I didn't do so well with his last trap, did I?
Maybe it's not a trap. Maybe he just wants to talk to us.
Maybe we'll wake up tomorrow and find that the sea has turned to plum wine.
What about your sailors? He says he has 50 of them still alive.
Yes, we can't just leave them.
He wondered how he could have considered running away last night. He knew some of those sailors had served beside them. To abandon them would be base betrayal. Silvio shook his head.
Maybe he does and maybe he doesn't. Those sailors might have all died the night the water sprite got away. I won't base a decision on them, not without more evidence.
Why don't you go talk to the Masian king?
Asked Thessalin.
He might give you permission to search Masia Minor, especially if you explain the situation. 50 Grishnards can't be that easy to hide.
Silvio smiled.
Thess, you're the only person I know who thinks that everything can be fixed simply by talking to someone. For you, maybe it's true. My mouth tends to get me in trouble.
She thought for a moment.
Would you like me to talk to him?
Silvio leaned back in his chair.
Well, I'm sure you'd have better success. You, after all, never tried to kill him.
Gerard raised his head.
So that's why you don't want to go.
It's one reason among many.
You were hired to kill the Magian Prince back when you were a teenager, and you didn't succeed, and now he's the king. Does he know who you are, Silvio?
Yes, very good, Gerard. It only took you a yellow month to figure that out. He saw me, and he might recognize me, and so what? He can't do anything to me now. I wouldn't hold my breath for any favors, though.
Gerard dreamed that night of Morchella's inner sanctum. She'd made him get into the pool at one point. Something long and bright circled them in the water, brushed up against his legs. He was so frightened and tired he could hardly do what she wanted. Afterward, she'd taken him back into the outer temple and down a side passage into her bedchamber, where there were at least pillows instead of cold marble beneath them.
You wouldn't feel so tired if you'd let me in,
she'd murmured. He had fought and fought to keep her out of his head. He was getting better at it, at finding the things she couldn't tolerate.
Gerard, I'm not actually trying to hurt you. You'd know if I was. Let me in. You'll like it.
You wanted me exhausted, because it's harder to fight when I'm tired.
But he did fight. His mind was the only thing he had left. She hissed in frustration, took him by the hand, and dragged him out of her bedchamber, down a staircase, and along a hall. She was beautiful, with her unusual combination of dark hair and pale fur. Her skin seemed to glow faintly in the half-light.
There.
She pointed, the fingers of her other hand digging painfully into Gerard's wrist.
You see that?
Gerard saw a blackened, blobby shape, perhaps of iron, in an alcove of the passage. It stood perhaps chest-high to Gerard, on a tarnished metal pedestal.
What is it?
He asked, hoping it didn't involve torture or assault.
It's a monument.
Sneered Morchella.
We're directly beneath my throne.
Gerard still didn't understand.
It used to be covered in gold. It used to have wings bigger than you. It used to be doused in flame at festival time. But I won. Don't you see? This is my place, my islands, mine. He may have made the world, but he couldn't keep it.
The Firebird?
Yes. That old demon. He's gone from here. He lost. Don't you dare taunt me with your stupid feathers. Don't you dare. I'll hurt you, Gerard. I'll break you.
He didn't know what to do, so he kissed her, tried to please her. He knew he was dreaming then, because it hadn't happened this way. She hadn't actually pressed him against the statue, and it hadn't actually burned his skin. It certainly hadn't burst into flame. Chapter 22. Plans.
In Wefravain, all mating bonds that are unlikely to produce offspring are considered perverse. This includes bonds between shelts of the same sex as well as those of different species. In spite of their social stigma, such perversions are often taken lightly, even laughingly, in the lower echelons of society. In the great houses, on the other hand, and especially among the nobility or royalty, such things are no laughing matter. The necessity of producing heirs and the need to maintain certain appearances make such perversions matters worthy of bloodshed to some families. Gawain, A Guide to Wefravain.
The watch and the police combed the island that afternoon, and over the next 3 days. They talked to every shelt in charge of every port on Lecklock, even the tiny ones. They went house to house, searching for a free fawn, a selkie, or a winged wolf. They hired trained Ocelon servants who could detect the unusual scents of the selkie or the wolf, but no one found any trace of Gawain or his companions. The festival was completely disrupted, although Morchella continued to accept nightly sacrifices. On the 4th day, shelts were growing restless. The inhabitants of Wefravain depended on trade for their lifestyle and survival. Winter was coming, and everyone was stocking provisions. Ships were standing off and on around the island, waiting for permission to make port. News of a storm made some merchants threaten to take their business elsewhere if they were not permitted to dock. When Morchella heard about it, Wyvern scrambled onto several ships and devoured a few merchants. She spread the word that the gods were angry and were considering the request of more sacrifices, preferably Grishnard of royal or noble blood. This frightened the populace and their leaders. They stopped complaining about the closed harbors and increased their fervent hunt for the renegade fawn. Shelts who'd never even heard of Gawain were now daily cursing his name. Gerard couldn't decide whether this was a good thing or a bad one.
Gawain is gone,
Silvio told Morchella on the 5th day.
He's always been difficult to follow. If you want him caught, then we've got to find a way to get ahead of him. He has a lot of friends and a lot of resources. I'll try to do something about him on Major Minor, but we won't catch him on Lecklock. Not this time. If you don't let us leave soon, we won't make the rendezvous.
At last she relented and reopened the ports.
I want him,
she told Silvio and Gerard.
In one of those cages by the new red moon. If not, you will both be sorry.
She was looking at Gerard.
Yes, mistress,
was all Silvio said. He cut his eyes sideways at Gerard as they returned to the ship.
I've never seen her like this. We really better catch that fawn.
That evening, he invited all his lieutenants to dinner, along with Gerard.
We're sailing for Masia tomorrow,
Silvio told them.
I haven't decided what ships we're taking. I'm thinking we'll end up on Masia Minor and none of the temple ships can get over the reefs.
Farrell shook his head.
They don't let any ships near that island, Silvio. If we go, they'll send us as a hunting party on foot over the sandbar.
Silvio toyed with his drink.
As I was saying, ship over the reef. Basil, yours could do it.
Basil attempted an innocent smile.
The Dark Wind?
Silvio scowled.
The Nightingale.
A bird, Sylvie?
A ship. With black sails and deceptively low draft. I know you haven't gotten rid of her.
Basil frowned at his food.
The Nightingale is retired.
Well, unretire her. We've got to go in there, and I don't want to be dependent upon Masian hospitality for our escape.
He spent some time talking about crew sizes and recruitment. He asked after the condition of each ship. By the time he was finished, they'd done eating, and he sent Arundel and Farrell to arrange provisions. He told Gerard and Basil to stay. When they were alone, Basil spoke up.
Sylvie, in all seriousness, I'm not sure I can get the Nightingale here in time.
Silvio grimaced.
Don't tell me she's active.
Basil threw up his hands.
Well, she is a pirate ship. Did you think I had her in dry dock?
I didn't think you'd gotten rid of her.
I haven't. Exactly.
He shot a nervous glance at Gerard.
Do I have to explain this with the police sitting here?
Silvio waved a hand.
He's one of ours.
Basil thought for a moment.
If you just want something that'll get in over the reef, Gerard's little boat'll do it.
The meerkat. She's small. What about spiders?
Basil shrugged.
Around Masia Minor, you worry about spiders with any ship. The meerkat's quick. I've seen the way she handles. She might actually have a better chance on an unauthorized voyage, although whatever you do will be risky.
Gerard felt compelled to make a comment.
We couldn't fit 50 sailors in the meerkat.
True. If there are really 50 sailors to bring off, the ship is only a backup anyway. I'm planning to walk in there over sand and walk out over bodies. But things don't always go as planned, especially with this particular fawn.
Basil grinned at Gerard.
Sylvie always has at least 5 plans. I don't even need one.
Silvio sniffed.
That's because you're good at tactics. I'm good at strategy, and Gerard here is good at diplomacy, which is why he's going to talk to the Masian king about doing us a favor, although I doubt even Gerard can manage that. He's been asking since he got here for decent maps of Masia Minor. He doesn't realize he's been asking the wrong person.
Basil shook his gold earrings.
There are no good maps of Masia Minor.
No. There are just shelts like you.
Sylvie, do you realize what you're asking?
I'm asking you to participate.
You're asking me to turn informer. You promised when I came you wouldn't do that.
Honor got your tongue tied.
Basil glared at him.
Self-preservation has my tongue tied. Those fawns take their secrets seriously. They'll hunt me down, even here.
All I'm asking is that you find a way to get a boat in over that reef so that we can get off the island some other way than via the front door. An idea of what to expect on the interior wouldn't hurt either.
I don't know anything about the interior.
Silvio scowled, and his voice sharpened.
Basil, how stupid do you think I am?
Basil's shoulders drooped a fraction.
Hey, you know I never thought you were stupid, boss, but what I know about Masia Minor is limited, and I paid dear even for that. It was explained to me in painful detail what would happen if I talked about it. And you did promise.
Do what you can,
growled Silvio.
Go see to your ship.
He'd pulled a paper out of his pocket and started making a list. Basil got up, but hesitated at the door. The expression on his face made Gerard feel almost sorry for him.
You want to apologize for your behavior in that restaurant, but Silvio doesn't respect apologies, and I'm sitting here, which makes it awkward, and he's probably not going to let you alone with him.
I'll try to get the Nightingale, Sylvie.
Silvio didn't look up.
Do that.
When he was gone, Gerard asked,
What was that about, Sylvie?
Silvio made a face.
Don't call me that. It's what they called me when I was a kid. I've told him over and over that I didn't like it, but he met me as Sylvie and he just cannot remember.
Why would he know anything about Major Minor?
Silvio grinned.
Everyone who knows anything about piracy in Wefravane knows the Fawns run Major Minor. They trade with pirates and smugglers, and they'll give permission to hide in their little coves for the right price. The Fawns of Major Minor aren't exactly resistance. They look out for their own interests, and I suspect they are not totally supportive of Gawain.
Chapter 23. An Old Friend and a New Argument.
The Temple's Sea Watch wield more power than is warranted by their numbers. Even the small kingdoms can field larger armies. However, the Sea Watch are not alone. Their most deadly allies lie, quite literally, beneath the surface. Gawain, the truth about wyverns.
They left the next day with the Sea Feather and the Fang. Basil and a chunk of his crew had joined the Fang, with a few going to the Sea Feather as well, so that both ships were at full complement and more than capable of putting up a good fight. The weather was already choppy, and Thessalon told them that they could expect a storm, which struck the second day out. It was not a deadly monster like the one that had overtaken them earlier that year, but it kept everyone busy. Silvio announced a stop in Haplag the fifth day out, and they docked in the port town of Seashine, with thunder still booming in the sky overhead. The next morning dawned clear, however, and Silvio surprised Gerard by knocking on his cabin door very early.
Want to go into town?
All right. Can I dress first?
Well, it would make things less awkward.
Gerard smiled.
And you're in a good mood.
He came on deck a few minutes later, leaving Thessalon snoozing in their cabin. Alcere had been given a nest box for the voyage, and Gerard did not wake him on his way out. Farrell was on deck talking to Basil, which surprised Gerard.
Has someone died?
Basil cocked an eyebrow.
Does someone need to?
You're awake, and it's not yet mid-morning.
Basil twitched his tail.
Ooh, he just gets sassier and sassier,
he said to Farrell.
Too much time with Sylvie.
Silvio came on deck a moment later, glittering in blue wool, heavily trimmed with lace and tiny seed pearls. He was wearing a black hat with a monstrous blue plume and boots that looked to be trimmed in Pegasus or Xavier down in a variety of colors.
Well, we're shiny today,
commented Gerard.
Just makes you want to get 'em all sticky, eh?
Gerard tried to control his grimace. Farrell shook his head.
Don't antagonize Basil in the morning. Not before he's had a drink.
Basil's humor seemed to be improving with Gerard's embarrassment.
That charming blush rather destroys the dark and menacing persona, Gerard.
Gerard wondered whether anything really bad would happen if he tossed Basil over the side. Silvio came strolling over. He shot a suspicious glance at Basil.
Are you making a nuisance of yourself, Lieutenant?
Yes, sir.
Is there any particular reason you're up before noon?
Basil looked annoyed.
For everyone's information, I do occasionally see a sunrise. I'm trying to do what you asked.
Silvio grinned.
Good, good. And you're snapping, which means you're sober. Are you leaving us today?
I may. I don't know yet. I have to talk to some Schultz.
Silvio nodded. He turned to Gerard.
Come.
Can I ask where you're going?
To visit an old girlfriend.
Well, that narrows it down.
Silvio snickered.
You do need a drink. I'm going to see Lou.
Tell her I said hello.
You ought to tell her yourself.
I will, if I get time.
I should say,
continued Silvio to Gerard as they started away from the dock,
I'm taking you instead of a bodyguard this morning. I don't anticipate trouble, but don't go to sleep.
I wasn't planning on it.
Also, keep your mouth shut and let me do the talking. Not that that's usually a problem with you.
They were moving into the rougher district near the docks. A few sleepy-looking urchins peered at them from doorsteps, and one very drunk prostitute babbled at them from a window. Silvio clicked his tongue.
Cardinal rule, never drink with the customers. It cuts into profits and makes it so much harder to pick their pockets.
I'll keep that in mind.
A few months ago, that would have upset you.
There were a lot of things I didn't know a few months ago.
Pretend to drink with the customers,
continued Silvio critically,
and learn how to act inebriated.
That advice might be more appropriate for Basil.
Silvio made a face.
The watch is not good for him. Too much time on his hands, not enough real danger. He always liked wine, but he's gotten worse in the last few years because he just doesn't need to be as quick on his feet. Maybe hunting down the nightingale will do him some good.
Silvio paused.
What did he say to you this morning? You were turning an interesting color.
And I'll probably turn another if I repeat what he said. Nothing embarrasses you, does it?
Silvio had a sprinkling of freckles across his nose, but his skin was otherwise nearly as pale as his fur, and yet he never blushed. Gerard had the olive gold skin of most Grishnards, but when truly embarrassed, he turned a deep and noticeable crimson. It didn't seem fair. Silvio grinned.
Nope. I do sunburn, though. It's one reason I started wearing a lot of hats and coal.
They were in a very seedy area now, with bars on many of the windows. Silvio ducked into an alley and trotted down a flight of steps into a stairwell that looked like the entrance to a basement. He took out his ring of keys.
Let's see whether they've changed the locks.
Who are they?
Silvio didn't answer. He tried one key, then another.
Sure enough. Well, that's all right.
He took out another ring of what looked like keys, but upon closer inspection were just slender bits of metal in various shapes.
Gerard, you're looking at that like you've never seen a set of lockpicks before.
I haven't.
Welcome to the world of the specially employed.
He fiddled for a moment, and then the door clicked open. They were standing in a passage. Gerard realized that they were actually beneath the sidewalk. Light filtered down through the grates above. Various doors along the passage led to rooms that must either be the basements of surrounding buildings or spaces beneath the street.
This used to be the old city, but there was a huge fire before either of us were born, and they built on top of everything. Now it's all forgotten rooms and basements that don't connect to the houses above. You can buy just about anything here.
And what are we buying?
Silvio smiled.
Let's not continue your education too quickly. You might get a headache. Follow me, little lamb.
He led the way along the dimly lit corridor to a low door opposite the street. The door had a peep window, presently closed. Silvio knocked.
She's not open yet,
he told Gerard.
Nothing gets going here until nightfall, but unless things have changed, she's generally up about now.
He knocked again, then took out a charcoal pencil and a scrap of paper, scribbled his name on it, and pushed it under the door. A moment later, the little window slid back, and a pair of green eyes looked out at them. Gerard heard a female voice.
Sylvie?
Yeah, it's me. Open the door.
There was a sound of bolts being drawn and locks turning, and finally the door creaked open. The room beyond looked like some kind of shop, with a counter and shelves stacked with tins and bottles. The Shelt who'd opened the door was an Ocelon. She was only a head taller than Silvio, small and pretty, with short brown hair, bright green eyes, and a few elegant facial stripes. She was wearing worn cotton pants, shirt, and an apron, much stained. Gerard guessed from the Sylvie that this was another person who'd met Silvio early in his career as an assassin. She took Silvio's hands, pulled him into the room, and spun him around.
Sylvie, sweet, how are you, lovely?
She made a sound that Gerard had never heard from a Shelt before. He realized a moment later that it was a true purr. He'd known Ocelons could do that, but he'd never heard one.
Gods, it's been ages. You look like you're doing well.
She flipped the plume on his hat. Silvio grinned.
I'm better than the last Shelt who tried to kill me.
Lou looked past him to stare at Gerard.
Priestess' sake, Sylvie, your tastes have changed. For the better, I'd say. I'd definitely buy whatever he's selling.
Gerard couldn't decide whether he wanted to glare at her or crawl under the counter. Silvio smirked. He shut and bolted the door.
Lou, this is Gerard Holivar, the new captain of the Temple Police. Gerard, this is Lou, best Shelt in the islands for all your specialized medicinal needs.
Lou stopped purring abruptly.
Oh dear.
She made a little bow.
I didn't mean any disrespect.
She glanced sidelong at Silvio.
We are still friends, aren't we, Sylvia? I don't remember doing anything to make you angry.
Silvio nodded.
Gerard is not in an arresting mood today, and he probably doesn't know what half this stuff is. He's much too sweet to be captain of the police, and he probably won't last long, but he's great for discouraging pickpockets. And he's married.
Thank you for that introduction,
said Gerard, unable to keep his mouth shut any longer. Lou laughed.
Well, as long as he promises to be blind, deaf, and ignorant of import laws, he's welcome. And I still say I'd buy whatever he's selling.
How about we buy something of yours instead?
Silvio turned to Gerard.
Lou makes the best stuff that you'd never want to find in your food. I nearly introduced you to something of hers last year.
Did you?
Asked Gerard weakly.
You want to come into the back room? I have something on the stove.
They followed her into the back of the shop, a maze of counters covered in drying plants, wet paper, glass trays, and racks of vials.
How is Basil?
Asked Lou as she took a small pot off the fire.
He's fine, or more accurately, he's himself, which is to say, a rascal.
You could tell him to come be a rascal in here sometime.
Silvio grinned.
Get yourself a pretty boy to mind your shelves, and he just might.
Well, that's the problem. I'd never find one who could compete with you.
Lou set the pot down very carefully, took the lid off, sniffed once, and put it back on.
Good enough. Now, what can I do for you, Sylvie?
3 things. First, I was attacked earlier this year by a fawn who used a topical poison on a book. I only held it for maybe 2 seconds, but I was violently ill with cramps and vomiting for 2 days, and then not really well for 3 days more.
Did you get the book?
Silvio shook his head.
No, and I didn't get a good sniff either. I was too busy trying to get out alive. I'm sure it was revenge poison, perhaps Saraceid, but it was awfully concentrated. Do you have any idea what exactly it might have been, or where he might have gotten it?
Lou thought for a moment.
It could have been a lot of things. Hunti are best with topicals. Most of those drugs come from the lawless lands. Do you think this fawn is making his own poisons or buying them?
Buying them, although I think he has some idea of quality.
I can ask around, but if he's getting them from a Hunti trader...
Silvio nodded.
Yes. Now, the same person attacked Gerard a few days ago with a pepper concoction.
Silvio flicked his tail.
Lou, I know there are probably a dozen or more Shelts in the islands who make pepper extract as potent as yours, but you're the only one I know who cuts it with polecat musk for that little added kick to the lungs.
Lou smiled madly.
It's a shame someone's copying my recipes.
Silvio glared at her.
Isn't it?
She started fiddling with a mortar and pestle.
Who is this fawn you're after?
We think his real name is Gawain. He might be calling himself Flag or something else. He's also supposed to be half Grishnard, half Shavier, and he's been known to disguise himself as an Ocelon, among other things.
Lou said nothing.
Look, I'm not trying to get you in trouble, but he appears to be the main catalyst, if not the leader, of the Cowry catchers right now.
That doesn't help your case much, Sylvie. The Cowry catchers can make life difficult for Shelts like me and...
The gods have been known to make life impossible. My mistress is very anxious to find this fawn.
Lou sighed.
Does he have a winged wolf?
Yes.
Long hair, blue feathers?
Silvio nodded.
He was in here, maybe 2 red months ago. He bought that pepper extract and he asked a lot of questions.
About?
Lou shrugged.
Everything. He just seemed to be the curious sort.
She thought for a moment.
He did ask one question about you. I remember now. I thought it was odd. He wanted to know whether you were really the one who gave me the money to set up this shop.
Silvio looked surprised and uncomfortable.
What did you tell him?
Lou smiled.
Well, I told him yes. I mean, it was a long time ago. It wasn't really a secret. The way he asked, I thought he might be a friend of yours.
Quite the opposite. Did he buy anything else?
No.
Ever seen him before?
I don't think so, but if he's as versatile as you say, he could have been in here another time. He's got the sort of hair and feathers that are easy to dye, and the sort of eyes that would look a different color depending on what he's wearing. He came as a fawn. We have lots of free fawns in Haplag.
Silvio nodded.
Fair enough. If you see him again, send me word via messenger griffin. Don't try to stop him. He's a fire dancer. He's dangerous. Just let me know. I'll make it up to you.
Lou giggled.
He's dangerous,
she mimicked, and clasped her hands like a frightened child.
Whatever will a helpless little Ocelon do?
Silvio scowled.
He almost killed me. Twice. He nearly captured the Fang. Do not underestimate him, Lou.
No worries.
All right. Lastly, I need something very small and very expensive.
Lou brightened.
2 of my favorite words.
Do you remember 2 years ago I was in here, and you told me you had something unusual from the Pendulon jungles?
Lou thought for a moment.
Oh, those? Sylvie, I'm not sure.
I want some. I'll pay whatever it costs, but I want them by tomorrow.
Lou made a face.
That's asking a lot, Sylvie.
He grinned.
I know. I'm good at that.
It will cost.
That's all right. Just make sure they're genuine. I do not like to be disappointed.
If you buy them from me, they won't disappoint. If I can find them.
Gerard and Silvio left a quarter watch later, after many farewells and a large pot of tea. Lou and Silvio had a long, enthusiastic discussion of everything that could possibly be concealed within the tea. By the time they finished, Gerard was afraid to ever drink tea again. Just before they left, Lou said in a quieter voice,
Are you happy, Sylvie?
He looked at her with a puzzled expression.
I'm at the top of my profession. There are few Shelts in Wefrevane I couldn't kill if I had a mind to. And I get to wear whatever I want.
She nodded.
All right. Good. You deserve a happy ending, lovely.
You need better ventilation in that back room, Lou. You're inhaling too much of your own work.
She seemed nice,
said Gerard as they walked back down the passage. Silvio sniffed.
You'd never guess she was the best poisoner in Wefrevane.
Is that stuff really poison?
Silvio shook his head.
She's technically an apothecary, and she does sell real medicine, some of it very rare. She just does a brisk side business in dangerous substances, some of it very illegal.
They walked for a moment in silence. Gerard was thinking about how to say what he wanted to say.
Silvio, we're leaving next spring, sooner if I can figure out how. I do want to rescue those sailors from Gwaine first, but after that...
Silvio flicked back his ears.
I told you not to tell me these things.
I wish you'd come.
And I also told you...
Silvio, she killed Malpin.
There was a moment of tense silence.
That's not true. Gerard, do not try to manipulate me with...
I asked her.
So did I.
She lied to you.
Silvio shook his head.
She's just trying to frighten you. She'd do anything to get you to do what she wants right now.
She threatened Thess. She threatened you. Silvio...
Silvio raised his head. Gerard was surprised to see a welter of emotions flicking across his face, dominated by fury.
I told you not to antagonize her. I told you you don't have a choice about this. I told you she gets focused. Gerard, why can't you just play along? Don't give me any nonsense about honor. I've had to put up with so much more of this than you'll ever have to. Is anyone beating you, starving you, making you do unspeakable things in front of an audience? No. Just go to bed with her for a few months and then forget about it. Learn to enjoy it a little. That will keep you sane.
Gerard stared at him.
You're angry because I made you look at something you didn't want to see. Silvio, it's not your fault.
Of course it's not my fault.
I mean, it's not your fault she killed Malpin.
She didn't.
Silvio was turning red, but not with embarrassment.
I know you're anxious to bring me along to navigate and pick locks and call in favors from dangerous Shelts, but it's just not going to happen that way.
Gerard was momentarily speechless. The idea that having Silvio along would make escape easier had never occurred to him. Although now that he thought about it, of course, it was true.
But you can't really think I'd lie about Malpin to make you come. That's not why...
But Silvio had veered away.
I have more things to do. I think I can take care of myself the rest of the day.
listening to The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton. Copyright Abigail Hilton. Cowry Catchers is an illustrated podcast. Artwork for this episode was created by Sarah Cloutier. To view these illustrations, and to learn more about this world and its author, visit the website at www.cowrycatchers.com. This podcast included the vocal talents of
Nathan Lowell
as Gerard,
Norm Sherman,
as Silvio,
Chris Lester,
as Gwaine,
Kimmy Alexander,
as Thessalyn,
Kim the Comic Book Goddess,
as Marcella,
Ryan Stevenson,
as Alsair,
J. Daniel Sawyer,
as Basil,
Amy Watkins,
as Lou,
Terry Mixon,
as Pharrell. Special thanks goes to Brian Lincoln, Charlie Blanchard, and Alex Thomaser for helping with the first pass audio editing for this book. You can find links to their projects on the cast and characters page, and if you haven't visited that page, you really should. There are portraits of the individual characters, photographs of their voice actors, and extra information about both. Sound effects for this podcast were generously provided by SoundSnap and the Free Sound Project. The intro music for this podcast was Grace by Beth Quist. The outro music is Monsters, also by Beth Quist, both licensed with permission from Magnatune.net. Music for Book 2 of Cowry Catchers included selections from Digital Juice at digitaljuice.com and Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. It also included Beth Quist, Diana Rowan, and Jamie Saber, all from Magnatune.net. All music was licensed and used according to the terms of the websites. For details...
This is a standard copyright now. This podcast is provided for your personal enjoyment only. You can download and archive the episodes for your personal use. You may not re-upload, mirror, or publicly redistribute the audio files, nor can you alter, remix, or create derivative works.
And I'm back. This is 2025 Abby, coming to you with some comments on the episode. So, the Dribblecast introduced this one, and I went and looked them up. It looks like the last episode dropped in 2017, so this is no longer ongoing, but you could go and find it. It's pretty cool when your podcast is so popular that it has a devoted fan cast. And the Dribblecast did have one for a while, which you can still find and check out. This episode featured the introduction of Lou, who is a character I like a lot, and she's played by Amy, who is one of my oldest friends. Amy and I met about the same time Jeff and I met, which is to say grade school. But we didn't really make friends until I think about 7th grade. I believe we knew each other since we were like little children, like 5 or 6. But yeah, became friends in 7th grade. And Amy was one of the first people who read my books after my brother. So the first novel I finished was Hunter's Unlucky, and this was a much earlier draft of Hunter's. This is not the version that is for sale. This was an extremely ambitious attempt for a 15-year-old. Written in about a year when I was 14 and 15, and finished. I mean, it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. But I will say that when I rewrote the book at the age of 30, I opened a clean document and retold the story. So I don't want to give the impression that that early novel was, is what is for sale now as Hunter's Unlucky. But I made a lot of friends with that book. I would venture to say that my best friends were made with that book. And the first alpha reader for it was my brother. So I was 14 and 15, so he would have been 10 and 11. And I handed him chapters of that book one at a time, hot off the dot matrix printer. So they would still be warm coming off the printer. And when I had one ready, I would hand it to him. And when I kind of started to not lose interest in the project, because I was a very focused
young person, I did tend to finish things, but it was an extremely ambitious project, y'all. It's a doorstop of a book. And it wasn't any shorter. It was different, but not any shorter the first time. But when I would kind of, start to become intimidated or wasn't quite sure where to go next, my little brother asking me, for more chapters and when was there going to be another chapter, drew me on through that project. And that's how I finished my first novel. And I don't remember how long it was, but it was quite long. I want to say like 220,000 words. It was extremely long. I was verbose as a 15-year-old. Anyway, that book, I made a number of friends with it. Some of my best friends who are still friends. And the way Amy describes it is I'm pretty sure it was 7th grade. It might have been 8th grade, but I think it was 7th grade. I whispered, "I write." And she kept my secret. And then I handed her a 3-inch notebook and said, "You might like to read this. And there is more." So yeah, I would pass it around in these very large 3-ring binders with every chapter shoved into one of those clear plastic sleeves. So I'd put all the chapters, I'd staple each chapter and put it into a clear plastic sleeve. And I would pass these things around to my friends or people I hoped would become my friends or people who I thought would like it. And they did. And they asked for more. And that is my love language. The way to my heart is straight through my fiction. So anyway, Amy had been a beta reader, and she also gave me markup and pointed out my spelling errors, and so then we were friends for life. So she has been, and is still, one of my beta readers since we were children. And furthermore, I had moved to Portland area with my brother in 2006. Had some good times there. I got into anesthesia school. He married one of my college friends. And then when I graduated from anesthesia school, I moved back to Florida. I know I've already told this. Anyway, I moved back to Florida partially, I would say I moved to Orlando, for a job, but also Amy and Alex were there. So that is Amy and her husband, and they had a small child. And I lived for the first year in a rental house, and then I had a horrible job experience, and my life kind of temporarily fell apart. And then moved out of the rental house and into the apartment complex where Amy and Alex lived. I moved into a unit directly across from them. And then my life became good again. I lived there quite happily for, I think it was 5 years. I think I lived there happily for 5 years and then less comfortably for a 6th year. And then I moved into a nicer apartment. They bought a house. And then Jeff also lived there for a time. He is my friend of the same vintage, who does my maps and cover design. We're all friends from grade school and early high school. And he was also someone who read my early books. And remember, we were teenagers. We were dumb teenagers. He bragged about reading some of them while driving, which... Amy tells a really good story about driving with Jeff. Again, remember, we were teenagers. First of all, we were teenagers. And secondly, it's a long, empty stretch of road. There's not much out there driving to his house in Florida. Very flat, very few cars, no police. And he said, "I need to get something. Would you mind what did he say? I think he had it in cruise control. He just said, take the wheel for a minute. And she took the wheel and she thought he meant, I need to adjust my seatbelt or I need to scratch my head. I don't know. But what he actually did was dive into the back seat of the car and start rummaging around. And Amy's like, you gonna come back soon, buddy? There's a traffic light off in the distance. It's getting closer. I think it might be red. So yes, these were friends that I grew up with, friends that are still my friends who I still visit when I go back to Florida periodically, to the Orlando area, and friends who I lived quite near for quite a few years for most of my 30s and would live near again. These are great people. Anyway, Amy voiced Lou's character, and we had a lot of fun doing it. She came, I think at that point, goodness, her first lines would definitely not have been when I was living in the apartment across from them. Her first lines would have been when I was still in the rental house, which was like 15 minutes away. It wasn't that far away. Anyway, I think her first lines are probably at her kitchen table, but we did some of them later in my closet in my apartment. Here's another good story about Amy and Alex. These are what kind of friends these people are. So they invite me to come live in the apartment. Like, they told me this unit was up for rent and like help me get the paperwork in. Anyway, they invite me to live across the parking lot from them. So that's one thing. You don't invite someone to come live that near you who is going to like knock on your door unexpectedly and such. Anyway, I wake up one morning and it's Florida, so most of the time, a lot of the weather is indoor-outdoor weather, and at certain times of the year, I had my sliding glass door open quite a lot. And my two cats, Nix and Nim, were extremely good about not going further than my little patio out there. I had a gorgeous little porch garden, and they would go out there and sit and come in. They never went very far. They were very good about this thing. So I left that sliding glass door open quite a bit. Now, I would sit there and write, too. That's kind of where I got going on writing again, because I had taken a long break during anesthesia school. Anyway, that was yet to come. As far as when I was producing this part of the story, I was still in the rental house. Anyway, but I'm talking about Amy and Alex. So I have been leaving that sliding glass door open a lot, and we had black racers in the area, which are a lovely snake. They're super cool. You'll see them sometimes sticking their heads out of hedges, and they look like a periscope. They'll stick their head like 4 to 6 inches high out of the hedge and like be looking around like a little periscope, like a little snake periscope coming out of a hedge. They're interesting snakes, but one thing they are not is friendly and well-behaved. They are not poisonous, but they will definitely strike at you, and they give no fucks. Like, they're not intimidated. But anyway, I have 2 cats. Recall that I have 2 cats. So apparently, there was this one black racer who I don't know what his deal was. I would see him on my porch sometime, which is fine. You know, they're just hunting rodents and such. But he had this thing with wanting to go inside my house. And he had tried a few times and been deterred. Well, one time I apparently left the sliding door open and was not paying attention, and he came in. And I wake up the next morning to my cats being extremely anxious and agitated. I could tell they were upset about something. And I go in the kitchen, and here is the snake curled up in the corner of the room, and they're like, do something about that. Don't look at us. This is not our this is above our pay grade. We're not going near that thing. And he was pretty big, y'all. He was probably 3 or 4 feet long. So I'm like trying to figure out how to catch the snake. Also, it couldn't have been any later than 7 a.m. It was pretty early in the morning. And the snake is not being cooperative either. So, secondly, another thing you should probably know is that I am pretty good at catching snakes. As a child, I was that kid. Like, I once caught a corn snake while out riding my bike and rode all the way home with it in my hand, wrapped around my hand in the bike handle, and showed it to my mother, and I thought she would be impressed by it, but what she actually did was cover like 6 feet in a single jump. I have frightened fellow high schoolers before with snakes. Again, not intentionally, because I thought they would think it was cool. Anyway, I've caught a lot of snakes. I'm usually pretty good at catching snakes without getting bitten by snakes. But this guy he was having none of it, and he was striking every time I came near him, and he was active, and he was wanting to move around my apartment, and so I was worried. I couldn't what I would have preferred to do is like have breakfast, assess the situation, maybe get some tools, and calmly capture him and take him outdoors. But he was acting like he was going to be running around my apartment, and my cats were all freaked out. And he was also striking every time we came near him, and I'm like, well, I don't want to be bit, and also I don't want him to go somewhere that I don't know where he's gone, and then he's hanging out, and this is not a big apartment. Anyway, so I was like, I've got to catch him right now, and
And I couldn't corner him. He kept moving around. So then I went over to Alex and Amy's apartment and was like, I'm so sorry, but could you get out of bed and come help me catch a snake? And bless their hearts, they did. Not just Alex, not just Amy, but also their young daughter came, and mostly what their daughter did was laugh uproariously while these three adults in her life ran around attempting to capture the snake. It was a little bit of a comic slapstick routine, but we did finally, in a group effort, get this guy inside. I think it was a towel or a bed sheet or something. Of course, also they will musk all over stuff. So I was also afraid that if I caught him wrong or if it was like a sloppy catch, he would end up making my whole apartment reek. So anyway, we did successfully catch him, and he only musked on the object we caught him in. And he was taken ceremoniously back into the outdoors and released, where he once again made several attempts to enter my apartment, but he was foiled. From then on, I kept a weather eye on the sliding door when it was open, and if I couldn't watch it, I closed the screen. So I learned my lesson. And I also learned that Nim and Nix were of absolutely no use when it came to snakes. I could tell they'd been waiting for me to wake up. They're like, please, do something about that. There is a problem. We need a human to fix it. Anyway, those are some of my memories from recording these books. That happened probably when I was recording what was then book 3. So when I was recording this one, I believe I was still in the rental house. Anyway, Amy she was a beta reader for these books. And how she was a beta reader for them, and heard some of my paroxysms at various points in the writing of the books where I was conflicted about what I was writing, because I had never written sex in a story before these books. So yeah, Amy did quite a bit of hand-holding. We talked about these books and I was writing them when we went on a trip to Ireland. She and I hiked around Ireland together, which was super fun. We didn't have a lot of money. We hitchhiked once. That's Mochi. Come here, buddy. Talking about Amy. You've met Amy. All right. I hope you're enjoying the story. Hope you're enjoying the history and the very tangential side stories. I will see you in the next episode. This is Abigail Hilton, and you have been listening to the Pirates of Wefravain saga. Join me on Patreon for early episodes, long-form interviews, forum access, personal updates, and lots of artwork, including maps and species charts. That's patreon.com/Abigail Hilton. If you want the whole story now with no interruptions and some remastering of the early books for sound quality, you can find the entire series at shop.abigailhilton.com, along with all my other novels. The audiobooks are delivered by BookFunnel. Background music was Hidden Sky by Jamie Sieber, licensed from Magnatune.net circa 2014. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers podcast is an audio adaptation of the Pirates of Wefravain saga, written and produced by Abigail Hilton. Original production copyright 2010. All rights are reserved to the author.